Hey, what's up guys? Hope everyone's doing fantastic. I wanted to change things up today, try a little bit of a different format for these reviews. I honestly watch a lot of movies that I don't have the time to talk to you guys about due to just how long it takes to put videos together, uploading them, thumbnails, all that stuff. So today we have the first ever movie roundup, where we blow through multiple movies on a more streamlined process, and today we have 3 solid films. We have Allied, The Founder, and Keeping Up with the Joneses. So without any further ado, let's get into it and let's talk about these movies. First up, let's talk about Allied, starring Marion Cotillard, Brad Pitt, Jared Harris, and directed by Robert Zemeckis. This time period drama set during World War II follows a Royal Canadian Air Force officer and a member of the French resistance. They are tasked with posing as a couple to get close to and assassinate a German ambassador. They will end up falling in love, they will have a child, and their love will be tested years later when one of them is accused of being a German spy. To me, this was a good film, but not really a great one. The settings and backdrops all feel perfect for the era. There was a visual quality in the crafting of the film itself, and it effectively really pulls the viewer into the time period. I thought the performances of both Pitt and Cotillard were very good. They delivered the needed chemistry to really sell themselves as two people who fall in love. I thought Pitt was solid as an Air Force officer, and despite the performance, I don't know, feeling slightly underwhelming, he certainly hits the mark on his character's more dramatic moments. And Cotillard's character and performance were also kind of on the common side, not really shining in the role, but for being a female lead and having a vital impact on the plot, her character was just a little underdeveloped, and it just really made it hard to connect with her personality and get behind who she was. The story was pretty intriguing for the most part, but it was just very slow in the second act, and despite a serviceable third act wrap-up, it just felt slightly rushed considering the pace of the story leading up to it. I don't think the impact was completely delivered due to this, and without really being able to get to know all the characters, it just didn't deliver that dramatic punch that it wanted to. Overall though, I'll give Allied a B-. The direction of Robert Zemeckis was very good. He creates some very intense moments, and the film does have a polished visual appeal with an aged look at the same time, but it was a little too slow and it felt rushed when it closed things out, just not hitting the emotional levels it really could have. Next, let's talk about The Founder, starring Michael Keaton, John Carroll Lynch, and Nick Offerman, directed by John Lee Hancock.
That glorious name, McDonald's. I had to have it. You don't have it. You sure about that?
This story follows salesman Ray Kroc, who when he met the McDonald's brothers found his life would be changed forever. The brothers had created an ahead-of-its-time fast food restaurant in San Bernardino, and Kroc felt he could spread it to the world by franchising it. Now I'll be honest, I thought this was a rather paint-by-numbers biopic, but it was still a very good one. I thought the film had some pacing issues, but it was really able to deliver the story of how the world's most famous restaurant really came to be. It felt like it kept a focus on sticking to the facts, and it told an interesting but honestly equally sad story on how these two normal guys who created fast food really were just inevitably treated. I thought Keaton's performance was excellent as far as entertainment goes, but he kind of felt like Michael Keaton more than he did Ray Kroc. He definitely had his moments where he felt like he delivered some personality traits of the character, but for the most part it really felt like Michael Keaton delivering a charming performance as opposed to really just doing some solid character acting. I also thought Nick Offerman and John Carroll Lynch came in with some very solid performances in their roles. They really felt like brothers. They felt like two people who just shared a common dream and just commanded the attention with their scenes in my opinion, but I thought there also could have been more of them in this story for my liking. And I know the focus of this story was about Ray Kroc, but it was really also about McDonald's too, and it felt like there could have been a better balance between Kroc's efforts to franchise it and the brothers' influence over it. I mean, I guess it could have gone down the way it did in the script, but it felt like there just had to have been more communication between the McDonald's brothers and Kroc throughout all these months and years of him franchising, other than a few short phone calls like this film portrays. But overall, I'll give The Founder a B+. It was a very entertaining movie, but the way this film told Kroc's story felt a little routine at times, and it did have some pacing issues, feeling like it dragged itself through portions of the second act. To me though, the most entertaining parts of this movie were how the brothers really came into owning and creating their first McDonald's and the whole aspect of how it went down, but in the end that was just really in the shadow of Keaton's spotlight, which honestly in its own certainly entertains. Finally, let's talk about Keeping Up with the Joneses, directed by Greg Mottola, starring Zach Galifianakis, Isla Fisher, Gal Gadot, and John Hamm.
You don't think there's something off about them? They're both so overly accomplished and stylish.
Welcome to the Cobra Club.
A little different than you expected.
The storyline follows a typically normal, boring suburban couple who find their lives intrigued by their new neighbors across the street. They are seemingly perfect. They are the envy of the neighborhood, and they are also a couple of government spies who will enlist these nosy neighbors for some help. Now, there is no denying you have already watched this movie. The premise is simple. The humor is as well. It's highly predictable and instantly forgettable, but a lot of these comedies often are, and for a one-time watch, it wasn't all bad. It doesn't stretch the runtime longer than it needs to, and there were some moments of good humor here and there. I thought the performances, for the most part, were serviceable. Fisher and Galifianakis had their moments. They sell themselves as a domesticated couple. Ham and Gadot are easy on the eyes, and together they all shared a fun chemistry, I guess. I didn't mind this movie too much because I didn't have the highest expectations for it. I kind of assumed where the plot would go. I knew there would be some stale, recycled humor, but hoped there would be a handful of comical moments and some likable characters, a couple sight gags here and there, and for the most part, that's exactly what this movie delivers. It's not groundbreaking comedy by any means. Overall, though, I'll give Keeping Up with the Joneses a C+. This wasn't a horrible movie, but the writing could have been much better. It certainly had potential to be a much more entertaining film than it was, but it was a pretty fun, routine plug-and-play comedy. It certainly had its moments, and if you're in the mood for some dumb, mindless humor, this movie's not going to completely disappoint. And that concludes the first episode of the Movie Roundup, guys. If you saw any of these films, let me know what you thought of them in the comments below. Also, let me know if you like this format of videos, of more of a streamlined review process to help me talk about more of the films I get to watch with you guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you enjoyed it. I'm Anthony. This is the Silver Screen Analysis, and I'll see you guys at the movies.